All right, so welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting, I think. It's this idea that by knowing yourself, you can actually become like a threat.
Oh,
It
yeah.
sounds a little intense, right?
It does. Yeah.
We're going to be looking at this YouTube video by Latoya Okeia,
Okay.
and she makes a pretty compelling case for this idea.
Yeah, she really does. What I think is so interesting about how she talks about this is personal transformation.
Yeah.
She's framing it as this powerful force,
Yeah.
almost like a disruption to the way things are.
She really does jump right in. And
Yeah.
she says straight up that when you really know who you are, you become like a threat to the world.
Mm.
And I mean, it's bold, that's for sure. It
Yeah.
definitely grabs your attention.
It does. It really does.
But what really stood out to me was the way she connects this idea to personal power.
Yeah.
She's saying things like game over for the enemy, the gravy train stops here.
Right.
It almost feels like a revolution or something.
Absolutely. I think she's really tapping into this desire a lot of us have to just break free.
Yeah.
To break free from limitations and expectations that society puts on us.
Right. And, she's not just talking about knowing your favorite color
No.
or what kind of music you're into.
Right.
It's so much deeper than that.
Yeah, it's about values,
Exactly.
purpose,
Yeah.
what truly drives you.
And that actually leads right into her next point, which is getting rid of all the fake stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She really emphasizes this idea of stripping down,
Yeah.
removing all those layers, and just being authentically you.
Like she's saying, forget trying to fit in.
Totally.
Forget trying to please everybody.
Yeah.
Just be you.
Be you. And this actually reminds me of all that research on self-presentation.
Right.
Because we know that people often wear all these different masks
Yeah.
to try and fit in or to get approval.
Mm-hmm.
But that can really prevent us from connecting with ourselves and with other people.
Yeah, it's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. You can't really give anything to the world if you're not being true to yourself.
Right.
And Latoya uses this really striking analogy about clothes.
Oh, yeah.
She says that you could literally be wearing a sheet.
Okay.
But if you're speaking truth with boldness and power,
Mm-hmm.
nothing can hold you back.
It's a powerful image.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And it brings up this potential for discomfort.
Oh, yeah.
Because when we show up authentically,
Yeah.
it can really challenge the status quo.
It can. It can.
And people aren't always going to be comfortable with that.
Exactly. And that actually brings us to this really interesting paradox that she talks about.
Okay.
She says that knowing yourself makes you both a threat and a magnet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that just seems like a contradiction to me.
It does, yeah. How can those two things coexist?
Right.
And that's really what makes authenticity so challenging, but also so rewarding.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you might attract those who resonate with your true self and build these deep, meaningful connections.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you're also going to repel those who might benefit from you conforming or staying small.
Which can be scary.
It can.
But also really freeing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that aligning with your true self will attract what's meant for you, even if it means letting go of what no longer serves you.
And Latoya really paints such a vivid picture of this magnet effect.
She does, yeah.
She talks about all these blessings and opportunities, and it's like they're just drawn to you, almost like they can't resist your energy.
Like you become this force of nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
You attract everything you need to fulfill your potential.
That's it.
But then there's the flip side of that.
Right.
That threat element.
Mhm.
She uses some really interesting examples from the Bible to illustrate this point.
Oh, okay.
Especially the stories of David and Jesus.
Okay, yeah. Those are interesting choices.
I'd love to hear what you think about this.
Yeah, well, I think they both speak to this universal experience. I mean, think about David. He was chosen by God,
Yeah.
but he was totally overlooked by his family.
Right.
And he was out there working in the fields while his brothers were seemingly moving up in the world.
Totally. She points out how he was almost forgotten.
Yeah.
Pushed aside.
Right. And then you have Jesus,
Yes.
who is constantly being challenged and rejected
Yeah.
just for speaking his truth.
Right. And their stories really highlight how authenticity can disrupt the status quo,
Absolutely.
even if it causes some strong reactions.
Yeah, they both really embody their true selves, despite all that resistance.
It makes me think about all those times in our own lives
Right.
when we've felt pushed away or misunderstood for just being ourselves.
It's not always easy to stand firm in your truth.
It's not. Especially when it challenges other people's expectations of us.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from what Latoya is saying. Authenticity may not always be comfortable.
Right.
but it can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah. And she takes this idea even further.
Okay.
She connects it to tangible success, especially in business and finance.
Interesting.
You know, she calls herself a God-made CEO,
Right.
and she's built a whole brand around this concept.
I think it's really important to understand that phrase, God-made CEO,
Yeah.
in the context of her message.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily about religious affiliation.
Right.
It's more about aligning your work with a higher purpose,
Yeah.
with a sense of mission.
Like you can be both successful and authentic.
Exactly.
Those two things don't have to be separate.
Right. She's suggesting that when you're aligned with your values,
Yeah.
success just naturally follows.
You don't have to force it.
Right.
And she uses some really powerful imagery to describe this. Like she talks about your business blowing up.
Right.
Or how people who aren't aligned with you will scatter like roaches.
Wow.
It's intense.
Yeah, very vivid.
And it's clear she sees this connection between authenticity and success.
Absolutely.
You know, attracting the right people, the right opportunities, and ultimately creating a life that reflects your values.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because she's not just talking about it.
No.
She's actually living it.
She is, yeah.
You know, she's built this successful business, this whole community of what she calls divine ones.
Yes.
And it's all about empowering people to embrace their own unique paths and achieve their goals.
Exactly. It really shows you how that inner transformation can lead to outward manifestation.
It's a testament to the idea that living authentically can create this ripple effect.
Yeah.
Not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you too.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
It is.
It really is
Yeah.
to see how she's challenging those traditional ideas of success and showing that there's another way,
Right.
a way that's based on authenticity and purpose.
It makes you wonder,
It does.
what if knowing yourself could really unlock that kind of power?
Right.
Like, what if it could help us break free from those limitations we put on ourselves?
Because it's not always easy.
It's not, no.
You know, she talks about stripping away all that fake mess. But that can be a really vulnerable process.
It can.
What if we face resistance?
Right.
What if people don't like the real us?
That vulnerability is actually a key part of the whole process.
Okay.
If we're constantly putting on this perfect image,
Yeah.
we're never going to let people truly see us.
Right.
We're never going to be able to connect on a deeper level.
Right. And there's going to be pushback
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
people who are used to us playing a certain role.
Exactly.
And it reminds me of all the research on cognitive dissonance. You know, when our actions don't match our beliefs,
Yeah.
it creates this inner conflict. So maybe by embracing who we really are, we can start to resolve some of that dissonance,
It makes sense.
even if it's a little messy at first.
Absolutely. And remember,
Yeah.
Latoya also talks about all the rewards.
Yeah.
She talks about the freedom that comes with being authentic.
Right.
And that magnetic energy that attracts all the right people and opportunities.
It's like she's saying,
Yeah.
it might be uncomfortable.
It might.
You might ruffle some feathers,
You might.
but it's so worth it.
It is.
But how do we actually do it?
Yeah.
How do we tap into that power of authenticity?
Well, I think it all starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
You know, taking the time to really reflect on your values, your passions, your strengths, and your gifts.
Yeah.
Like, what makes you come alive?
What are you naturally drawn to?
Exactly. Even if you've been pushing those things aside.
Right. And she reminds us it's not about all the external stuff.
Yeah.
The clothes, the possessions,
It's not about any of that.
the titles.
It's about connecting with that deeper part of yourself.
right.
That essence of who you really are.
And there are so many ways to do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Some people find it through meditation, others through creative expression,
Right?
spending time in nature,
Yeah.
or even just having those challenging conversations that help us understand ourselves better.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
What helps you connect with your truth.
And she also talks about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Oh, that's crucial.
It is
Yeah.
people who support your growth and encourage you to be yourself.
Having that supportive community can give you such a sense of belonging
Yeah.
and validation,
Totally.
especially when you're struggling or you're doubting yourself.
Yeah, it's about creating a space where you can be vulnerable
Absolutely.
and express yourself without fear of judgment.
And as you start to really embody that true self,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to let your light shine.
Right.
Yeah, don't be afraid to share your gifts, your passions, your perspective with the world.
Latoya says forget them, folks.
Well, yeah.
It's like she's giving us permission to just let go.
Mm.
of needing that external validation
Right.
and just be ourselves unapologetically.
And it's almost like reclaiming your power.
It is
Yeah.
recognizing that your worth comes from within, not
Exactly.
from what other people think.
It's about recognizing that your voice matters,
Yeah.
that you have something unique to offer.
And when you embrace that,
It's so liberating.
it is.
You don't have to shrink yourself anymore or
Yeah.
dim your light to try and fit
It's
in.
just like you're finally free
Yeah.
to be who you were always meant to be.
But that brings up another interesting point.
Okay.
If we embrace this whole idea of being a threat,
Mm-hmm.
could it be taken too far?
Right.
Could it lead to arrogance or a sense of superiority? That's a good question.
It is something to consider.
Yeah, because authenticity isn't about putting other people down or
Right.
thinking you're better than anyone else.
It's not about that.
No, it's about recognizing your own value
Yeah.
and expressing it in a way that's true to you
Mm-hmm.
while still respecting other people's values and perspectives.
So it's not about being a threat in a negative way.
Right.
It's more about challenging the status quo.
Inspiring others to be themselves
Absolutely.
and creating positive change.
Exactly.
It's understanding that personal transformation
Mm-hmm.
is about more than just self-improvement.
It
It's
is.
about making the world a better place.
Yeah. One authentic self at a time.
And that's a really powerful message.
It is.
It makes you think about
Yeah.
the impact we could all have
Mm-hmm.
if we all embraced our true selves and stepped into our full potential.
It really does.
But what does that actually look like?
Right.
How do we handle the challenges
Yeah.
and embrace the rewards
Yeah.
of that journey?
That's a great question. It seems like we're talking about this delicate balance.
Yeah.
You know, we want to embrace our individuality and our power,
Mm-hmm.
but also stay grounded
Yeah.
and connected to the bigger picture.
So finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
between self-expression
Mm-hmm.
and consideration for others.
Exactly. And I think that's where mindfulness comes in.
Okay.
You know, as we shed those layers
Yeah.
of what Latoya calls fake mess.
We need to do it intentionally
Yeah.
with awareness of how our actions affect ourselves and others.
It's not about just throwing out all the rules
Right.
or becoming totally self-absorbed.
Exactly. Authenticity doesn't give us a free pass
Right.
to be inconsiderate or ignore other people's needs.
It's about being true to ourselves
Yeah.
while also recognizing that we're all connected.
That's such an important distinction
It is.
because sometimes the self-help world can feel a little too individualistic.
Yeah.
Like it's all about me, me, me.
Mm-hmm.
But true authenticity also has to include responsibility.
Absolutely. And I think Latoya touches on that,
Yeah.
even if she doesn't say it directly.
Right.
You know, when she talks about the magnet effect,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about attracting material success.
No.
It's about attracting the right relationships,
Yeah.
the right opportunities to make a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like she's suggesting that by being authentic,
Yeah.
we naturally become a force for good.
But what if that feels really daunting? What if we're still figuring out who we are?
That's all right.
What if we're still peeling back those layers?
Transformation is a journey.
Yeah.
It's not a destination.
Right.
It's a process of continuous self-discovery,
Hmm.
and it's going to be different for everyone.
So how can we make it less overwhelming?
Good question.
You know, what are some practical steps we can take
Okay.
to start embracing our authenticity?
Well, I think you can start small.
Okay.
Instead of trying to change your whole life at once,
Mm-hmm.
just focus on one area where you feel like you're not fully expressing yourself.
Okay.
Maybe it's at work.
Yeah.
Maybe it's your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's just in the way you talk to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, identify that area and then just experiment.
It's like, how do you eat an elephant?
Exactly.
One bite at a time.
Yeah.
We don't have to do everything all at once.
And remember, it's a process.
Right.
There will be times when you feel confident and empowered.
Yeah.
And there will be times when you feel uncertain or even scared.
Totally.
But that's all part of it.
So it's not about being fearless.
Right.
It's about having the courage to face those fears.
Exactly.
Keep going.
And you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
Find those supportive communities.
Mm.
Connect with people who think like you.
Yeah.
Find mentors who can guide you.
Yeah. The more support you have, the easier it'll be
Absolutely.
to embrace that power within yourself.
Because ultimately,
Yeah.
it's not just about us as individuals.
Right.
It's about creating a world where everyone feels empowered to be themselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's contagious.
It is.
When we see other people being authentic,
Mhm.
it inspires us to do the same.
It creates that ripple effect
Yes.
that can transform the world around us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
Yeah.
into Latoya's message,
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What if knowing yourself
Yeah.
is more than just a personal journey?
Right.
What if it's a collective one?
That's a powerful idea.
What if by embracing our authenticity, we're not just empowering ourselves,
Right.
but also creating a more authentic and fulfilling world for everyone?
It's a beautiful thing to consider.
It is.
And it all starts with each of us taking that first step,
Yeah.
that first brave step towards embracing who we really are and letting our light shine.
So go out there, be
Yeah.
a threat in
Yeah.
the best possible way.
Shake things up.
Yeah.
Inspire others.
Yeah.
And create a world
Mm-hmm.
that reflects the beauty and diversity of our authentic selves.
I love it. Until next time,
Yeah.
keep diving deep.
Keep diving.
All right, and we'll catch you in part 2 where we'll continue this conversation about authenticity and its impact on the world.
Sounds good.
See ya.
See ya. See ya. It's inspiring to see how she's challenging these traditional ideas of success.
Yeah.
Showing that there's another way, a way that's based on authenticity and purpose.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what if knowing yourself could really unlock that kind of power? Like, what if it could help us break free from all those limitations that we put on ourselves?
That's the question, isn't it? What would it take for us to fully embrace our authentic selves? To shed those layers of conditioning and expectations.
Because let's be real, it's not always easy, right? I mean, Latoya talks about stripping away the fake mess, but that can be a really vulnerable process. What if we face resistance? What if people don't like the real us?
Well, I think that vulnerability is a key part of the process.
Okay.
Think about it. If we're constantly trying to present this perfect image,
Yeah.
we're not letting people truly see us.
Yeah.
We're not allowing ourselves to connect on a deeper level.
Right. And yeah, there's going to be pushback
Absolutely.
from those who are used to us playing a certain role.
Exactly. And it reminds me of all that research on cognitive dissonance. When our actions don't align with our beliefs,
Yeah.
it creates that inner conflict.
Yeah.
So maybe by embracing who we really are, we can actually start to resolve some of that dissonance.
It makes sense, even if it feels a little messy at first.
Absolutely. And remember, Latoya also talks about the rewards.
Yeah.
That sense of freedom that comes with being authentic and that magnetic energy
Right.
that attracts all the right people and opportunities.
It's like she's saying, yeah, it might get uncomfortable. You might ruffle some feathers.
Yeah,
But the rewards are so worth it.
totally. But how do we actually do it? Like, how do we tap into that power of authenticity?
Right. Where do we even start?
Well, I think it starts with self-awareness.
No.
Taking the time to really reflect on your values, your passions, your unique strengths and gifts.
Yeah, like what makes you come alive?
Exactly. What are you naturally drawn to? Even if you've been ignoring those things.
Right. And she emphasizes that it's not about any of the external stuff.
No, not at all.
The clothes, the possessions, the title.
Yet none of that. It's about connecting with that deeper part of yourself, that essence that makes you who you truly are.
And there's so many different ways to do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, some people find it through meditation, others through creative expression, spending time in nature,
Right.
or even having those difficult conversations that help us to understand ourselves better.
Exactly. It's really about finding what resonates with you,
Yeah.
what helps you connect with your inner truth.
She also talks about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Oh, that's so crucial.
It is.
Yeah, people who support your growth and encourage you to be yourself.
People who celebrate who you are.
Exactly. Having that kind of supportive community can give you such a sense of belonging
Absolutely.
and validation, especially when you're facing those challenges or those moments of self-doubt.
Yeah, it's about creating a space where you can be vulnerable, where you can really express yourself without that fear of judgment.
And as you start to really embody your true self,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to let your light shine.
Right. Let it shine.
Latoya has this great line, forget them, folks.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
It's like she's giving us permission to let go of that need for external validation and just be ourselves.
Just be you.
Unapologetically.
And it's like reclaiming your power.
It is.
Right. Recognizing that your worthiness comes from within.
Exactly. It's not about what other people think.
And it's about realizing that your voice matters.
Absolutely.
That you have something unique and valuable to offer.
And when you finally embrace that,
Yeah.
It's so liberating.
It really is.
You don't feel the need to shrink yourself or dim your light to fit in.
It's like you're finally free to be who you were always meant to be.
But that does bring up another interesting point.
Okay.
If we embrace this idea of being a threat, could it be taken too far?
What do you mean?
Well, could it lead to arrogance or a sense of superiority?
That's a really good point. It's definitely something to consider.
It is. Because remember, authenticity isn't about putting other people down
Right.
or seeing yourself as better than anyone else.
It's not about that at all.
No, it's about recognizing your own unique value
Yeah.
and expressing it authentically,
Mm-hmm.
while also respecting the values and perspectives of others.
So it's not about being a threat in a negative sense.
Right.
It's more about challenging the status quo, inspiring others to embrace their own authenticity.
Yeah.
And ultimately creating positive change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's understanding that personal transformation is about more than just self-improvement.
Yeah, it's bigger than us.
It's about making the world a better place.
One authentic self at a time.
I love that. And that's such a powerful message.
It really is. It makes you think about the impact we could all have. If we all embraced our true selves and stepped into our full potential.
It's exciting to think about.
Yeah.
But the question is, what does that actually look like in practice?
Yeah. How do we actually do it? How do we navigate all the challenges? And embrace all the rewards that come with that journey.
Yeah. It's about finding that balance, We want to express ourselves and step into that power.
Yeah.
But we also have to stay grounded,
Right.
connected to something bigger than ourselves.
So like finding that sweet spot
Exactly.
between, self-expression and consideration for others.
Yeah, I think that's where mindfulness comes in.
Okay.
As we shed those layers, as Latoya puts it, that fake mess.
Right.
It's got to be intentional.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of how our actions impact ourselves and others.
So it's not about just throwing out all the rules or
Yes.
becoming totally self-absorbed.
Exactly. Authenticity doesn't mean we can just disregard other people's needs.
Right.
It's about being true to ourselves,
Yeah.
but also recognizing that we're all connected.
That's a really important point.
It is. Because sometimes the self-help world gets a little too focused on the individual.
It does. Yeah.
Like it's all about me, me, me. But I think true authenticity should also involve responsibility.
Absolutely. And I think Latoya touches on that.
She does, yeah.
Even if it's not explicitly stated, like
Right.
when she talks about that magnet effect, it's not just about attracting money or success.
No, it's not just about that.
It's about attracting the right relationships,
Yeah.
the opportunities to make a real difference.
Exactly.
Like she's saying that being authentic
Mhm.
can actually make us a force for good in the world.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But what if that idea feels overwhelming?
Right. What if we're still figuring out who we are?
That's totally okay.
Still peeling back those layers.
Transformation is a process.
Yeah.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right. Right.
And it's going to look different for everyone.
Okay. So how do we make it less overwhelming?
Start small.
Okay.
Don't try to change everything at once. Just pick one area where you feel like you're holding back.
Okay.
Maybe it's at work, in your relationships, or even just how you talk to yourself.
Right. Like one step at a time.
Exactly.
Like how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. And remember, it's a process.
It is.
There are going to be times when you feel super confident and times when you feel uncertain or even scared.
Absolutely.
That's all part of it.
So it's not about being fearless.
It's not.
It's about having the courage to face those fears and keep moving forward.
And you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
Find your people,
Yeah.
The ones who support you.
Yeah.
Connect with like-minded people. Find mentors.
Surround yourself with people who encourage you to be yourself.
Absolutely. The more support you have, the easier it will be.
Because ultimately, this isn't just about us,
Yeah.
right? It's about creating a world
Yeah.
where everyone feels empowered to be themselves,
Exactly.
to express their unique gifts, and make a positive impact.
I love that idea. It's beautiful.
It's contagious.
It really is.
When we see other people being authentic,
Yeah.
it inspires us to do the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It creates this ripple effect that can change the world around us.
So to wrap up this deep dive into Latoya's message,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this thought. What if knowing yourself is actually a collective journey? What if, by being our true selves, we're not just empowering ourselves, but also creating a more authentic and fulfilling world for everyone?
That's a powerful idea to consider.
It is. And it all starts with each of us.
Yeah.
Taking that first step,
Hmm.
that first brave step toward embracing who we really are.
And letting our light shine.
So go out there and be a threat,
Shake things up.
in the best way possible.
Inspire others.
Yeah.
And create a world that reflects the beauty and diversity of our true selves.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.